Everybody, back with another video. Hope everybody had a good Easter weekend break. Nice little short holiday from the norm. Today's video is actually going to start with the BM, as you can see behind me. I know everybody knows me for the Japanese cars, the Nissans, Toyotas, that kind of stuff. But my background is actually in BMW. I'm a trained BMW technician, and I've also worked on and worked with a lot of Porsches, so it's actually where most of my knowledge comes from. So yeah, today we're going to be adjusting this BMW's handbrake. It's a bit loose, and then we will be working on my drift car. I'm going to be doing the rear suspension arms. We're going to pull them off, clean them up, service the rose joints, and then hopefully paint the arms in some kind of fluorescent coloring. So yeah, stay tuned. Okay, so at this point, wheels are off, car's in the air. Just make sure the handbrake is down all the way. The handbrake's completely loose. I'm going to show you the next steps. Okay, so basically all BMWs are the same. Well, 90% of them have the same system. If it's a mechanical normal handbrake, basically you'll adjust it through the bolt holes. There is a little adjustment wheel inside with teeth. You just use a sort of any medium sized flat screwdriver, and you can adjust the inner brake shoes out, and that will basically jam the brake disc. And then what you do is you just release it 2 or 3 times in reverse, and that will basically give you a much closer clearance as the shoe wears down inside the drum, and that closer clearance will basically make the handbrake lever a much shorter pull to engage the handbrake. Hopefully you can. Basically that toothed wheel inside there, that's the adjuster, and that's what you turn. Basically you tighten or loosen to change the clearance of the brake shoes onto the disc. This is to adjust it a bit, turn the wheel, check if it's engaging yet. If it's not, you might be going the wrong way, which is a normal occurrence as well. So you can just turn it the other way and then see if it starts engaging that way. It's almost like tightening or loosening a bolt. Eventually you'll feel it stop, and then you know you're basically at the end of the adjustment, and then the brake disc should be jammed. And as I said, this is the same from E46 all the way up till the latest F80 models. It's all the same designs, the same theory basically, and it works for many other rear-wheel drive cars. So there we can see the disc is basically jammed. You can't move it left or right. So that's all the travel being taken away. So now we're going to go back about 3 times. 1, 2, 3, loosen it. And you should only hear a little bit of drag from the brake pads, but nothing from inside the drum. Then you know that it's been adjusted correctly. You can also do this with the wheel on. But I don't recommend it, because sometimes you can scratch the wheel, and if it's not your own car, obviously you don't want that to happen. So yeah, that's one side done. We're going to repeat the process on the other side and then put the car back together. And while you're in here, might as well check, I know these cars have brake sensors. They'll tell you when the pads are basically almost finished. But while you're in here, check that the your brake dust cover is not touching the disc. There's no damage to the suspension arms, your shocks are not leaking, and while you're here you can check things like if there's any wear on the bushes on the suspension, any damage to the wheel liner, that kind of stuff. But everything looks in order, just needs a wash. What we also like to do here at the workshop is put a bit of anti-seize or copper slip onto the actual bolt threads. Just a little bit, nothing crazy. It just stops mag bite, and it stops the bolts from being seized in the threads, because we live near the coast and corrosion is a problem. But yeah, so just on each thread. Then what I also like to do is just around the edge of the hub where the rim basically fits on. Just put some anti-seize around there. That just helps with, in future the rim going off and on, nothing getting stuck. And if anybody is interested in these 2.5 ton aluminium racing jacks, we do sell them at Fury Accessories. We do have stock of them, so if you'd like a quick jack, if you're tired of pumping a jack 100 times to get a car this high, these quick jacks help a lot, especially in any sort of track situation. They save you a lot of time, a lot of effort. And yeah, we do have stock, so if you're interested in one, come down, have a look. You can check out the shop, see what else you might like. Now for the last step, I normally drop the car down to where there's a bit of weight on the wheel, but not all the weight. There. And basically this is a torque wrench. You have your Newton meter specs on the torque wrench itself. BMW spec is 120 Newton. I always recommend to torque your wheels. It is very important for safety. A lot of people just use a T-spanner or a power bar and then nip it. I mean, if you've been working on cars for a long time, that's not okay, but you would know what strength it takes to tighten the wheel. But yeah, I always recommend using this because obviously mistakes happen, and if you lose a wheel, there's a lot of bad things can happen. Most likely you're going to roll the car. So yeah, always torque your wheels. Handbrake's adjusted, everything's good. I have checked it inside the car. The handbrake is now about 4 clicks till it's engaged instead of 8 or 10. So it's much nicer to drive with, and obviously it stops the car from rolling back on any hills. Another thing, I know my videos aren't the best right now. I am busy getting new equipment. I just recently built a gaming PC and that kind of stuff. I'm still learning how to use everything. I'm not very technologically inclined, which is funny because I'm a mechanic. But yeah, I haven't done a lot of work on PCs and stuff, so I am learning. I'm learning how to edit, learning how to put in the music, that kind of stuff. So yeah, we'll get there. As I get better, I will get better equipment and I'll film obviously more and more in depth. But yeah, thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one.